In the annals of ancient history, few confrontations capture the imagination as vividly as the clash between Scipio Africanus and Hannibal Barca on the plains of Zama in 202 BCE. This was not merely a battle between two armies. It was the culmination of a titanic struggle between two civilizations, two military geniuses, and two contrasting visions for the future of the Mediterranean world. The meeting of Scipio and Hannibal stands as one of history's most fascinating encounters, where innovation, courage, and destiny converge to alter the course of empires. To understand Scipio's triumph, we must begin with his origins, forged in the crucible of war, tested by loss, and honed by relentless adversity. Born in 236 BCE into the powerful Cornelii Scipiones, a patrician Roman family with deep military roots, Publius Cornelius Scipio was destined for the battlefield. Roman society revered martial valor, and from an early age, Scipio was immersed in the traditions, tactics, and ethos of a people who believed their destiny lay in conquest and order. At just 17, Scipio experienced the harsh realities of war during the Battle of Ticinus in 218 BCE. The Roman Republic was reeling from Hannibal's audacious crossing of the Alps, and the young Scipio found himself in the thick of chaos. His father, also named Publius, commanded the Roman forces, but was seriously wounded in the melee. In an act of extraordinary bravery, the teenage Scipio charged through enemy lines, rescuing his father from certain death. This deed was not only a testament to filial devotion, but also an early indication of the courage and leadership that would become his hallmarks. Yet, the shadows of war loomed over the Scipio family. In 211 BCE, tragedy struck. Both his father and uncle, Gnaeus, were killed in Spain while fighting Carthaginian forces. It was a devastating blow, leaving Rome's position in Spain perilous and leaderless. Against the expectations of many, the Roman Senate entrusted the young Scipio, then only 25, with supreme command in Iberia. It was a gamble, for never before had such responsibility been given to someone so young, and, in the eyes of many, untested. What followed was the emergence of a truly remarkable military mind. Scipio understood that to defeat Carthage, he had to think beyond the rigid conventions of Roman warfare. He immersed himself in the study of Hannibal's tactics, admiring his opponent's use of deception, mobility, and the integration of diverse forces. Scipio's genius lay in his capacity to learn, adapt, and combine the strengths of Rome with the innovations of Carthage. His first great test came at New Carthage, Cartagena, the linchpin of Carthaginian power in Spain. Rather than a protracted siege, Scipio devised a daring plan. After meticulous reconnaissance, he discovered that the lagoon protecting the city would recede with the afternoon tide, exposing a narrow approach. While the main Roman force launched a diversionary assault on the city gates, a hand-picked detachment silently crossed the lagoon, scaling the walls from an unexpected direction. The city fell within a day, yielding not only riches and supplies, but also a strategic advantage that would reverberate throughout the war. Yet, Scipio's brilliance extended beyond the battlefield. He recognized that true victory lay not just in defeating armies, but in winning hearts and minds. He treated local populations and prisoners with a generosity uncommon in ancient warfare, releasing hostages without ransom, and integrating Iberians and Numidians into his ranks. This policy of clemency and respect built alliances, fostered loyalty, and destabilized Carthaginian control from within. For many in Rome, Scipio's success in Spain was a revelation, but the war with Hannibal was far from over. The Carthaginian general remained entrenched in Italy, undefeated and ever-threatening. Roman fortunes waxed and waned. Years of attrition, devastation, and fear had taken their toll. It was then that Scipio proposed a radical strategy: to take the war to the enemy's homeland, forcing Carthage onto the defensive and compelling Hannibal to abandon his Italian campaign. Such a plan was fraught with risk. Many senators balked at the idea of stripping Italy of its best troops, while Hannibal remained at large. They saw in Scipio's ambition the recklessness of youth, a hazardous gamble that could end in disaster. But Scipio, persuasive and visionary, argued that only by striking Carthage itself could Rome hope for a final victory. Reluctantly, the Senate agreed, granting him the authority, though not the full resources he desired, to lead an expedition to North Africa. In 204 BCE, Scipio landed on African soil with approximately 30,000 men, a seasoned, battle-hardened force, but one facing daunting odds. The Carthaginians, alarmed by this incursion, mustered their own armies and sought alliances with the formidable Numidian cavalry, led by the ambitious Syphax. Yet, through a dazzling blend of diplomacy and martial prowess, Scipio turned the tables. He convinced Massinissa, a rival Numidian prince, to join the Roman cause. With Massinissa's cavalry, Scipio now possessed the mobility and striking power needed to confront and outmaneuver Carthaginian forces on their own ground. The campaign in Africa was a masterclass in strategic brilliance. Scipio won a string of victories, including the burning of the enemy camps at Utica and the defeat of Syphax's forces. These successes sowed panic in Carthage, undermining morale and compelling the Carthaginian Senate to recall their greatest warrior from Italy. After 16 years of near unbroken success on Roman soil, Hannibal was finally summoned home to defend his city. Before the decisive battle, legend tells of a fateful meeting between the two generals. Hannibal, now 45 and bearing the scars of years at war, sought a parley with his younger adversary. He proposed peace terms, recognizing that Carthage was exhausted and that further conflict would only bring ruin. Scipio listened with respect. He admired Hannibal, whose tactics he had studied and emulated. Yet Scipio declined the offer. He understood the nature of the moment. Only a conclusive victory could secure Rome's future and eliminate the Carthaginian threat once and for all. Thus, on a clear morning in October 202 BCE, the armies assembled at Zama. Hannibal's force numbered around 36,000, bolstered by 80 war elephants, a terrifying sight, forged to shatter infantry lines and infuse terror into the hearts of opponents. Scipio commanded a slightly smaller force, but he possessed two decisive advantages: the loyalty of Massinissa's Numidian cavalry and a deep understanding of Hannibal's methods. As the battle commenced, Hannibal unleashed his elephants, hoping to break the Roman legions. But Scipio was ready. He had drilled his troops to open lanes in their formations, allowing the elephants to pass harmlessly through while showering them with missiles. Trumpets and shouts heightened the confusion, and many of the beasts, panicked and disoriented, turned back upon Carthaginian lines, sowing chaos in their wake. The infantry engagement that followed was brutal and closely contested. Hannibal's front ranks were comprised of mercenaries, Ligurians, Celts, Balearic slingers, who fought fiercely but were eventually repelled. Behind them stood the Carthaginian citizen levies, steadier but less experienced. Scipio's disciplined legions pressed forward, their shields locked, their disciples